Hi, my name is Grace, and Lauren and I decided to do our presentation on feminist theory. So, feminist theory is based off of different strains of feminism, the first being liberal feminism. And this one is very individualistic and it speaks out against the subjugation of women, particularly in terms of their career paths. This is a very individualistic, like I said, type of feminism that focuses on a woman's ability as an individual to rise up against her situation, to be an advocate for herself, and ultimately maintain equality. And it's very much women empowerment, individual empowerment, and kind of, making that stride as a woman herself. Radical feminism is kind of the stereotypical what you would think of when you originally picture feminism. And that's where male dominance is a problem with society, kind of, down with patriarchy, and people need to strive for a combination of masculine and feminine traits. Marxist feminism focuses on the exploitation of women in their reproductive roles and in household labor. Basically that, women as a homemaker, they're a chef, they're a chauffeur, they're a maid, they're a nanny. They do pretty much everything. They're expected to do it for free. They're expected to do it because they're women, and that's kind of where they see the problem being. And as long as women are solely responsible for reproduction of children, oppression will exist. If that doesn't change, then there will always be oppression against women if they're always expected to be homemakers simply because they're women. And then cultural feminism asserts that if we acknowledge the differences of men and women, we can bring equality to feminine traits. If we, acknowledge that there is a difference, but it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, or that, any inequality, that they're just differences. There's not a hierarchy of traits. Some assumptions of this theory. First, that a woman's experience is central for understanding families. Women have been left out of society in the past to be mothers and homemakers, and so they haven't had as much of a voice in politics and the economy, in the job market and things like that. And so a woman's life may have been different if they weren't oppressed in the past. And so it's important to understand this kind of journey that women have, to understand why families are the way that they are. And that gender is a socially constructed concept. That gender roles, gender stereotypes are completely reinforced by society. They are created and perpetuated by societal beliefs and traditions. Gender was defined by society, not biology. They didn't take into account biological differences. They just assigned different characteristics. They saw femininity as, weaker and less than. And so, women were secretaries, where men were business owners. That men, it was more acceptable for them to be aggressive, assertive, to make their way in the world, to have power, whereas women kind of belonged in the home because they were more nurturing and meek, which was a gender role, and it made it harder for women to deviate from that. So feminists wanted to stop stereotyping the gender roles and make it so everyone's equal no matter what gender or job that you have. Some other assumptions. Social and historical context matters. Gender roles created throughout the years still affect the way women make their way through the world now. That different traditions and ways of doing things have made it so certain women are at a disadvantage when going into things. One common kind of discrepancy people point out is the wage gap. Women who have the exact same credentials as men sometimes get paid less simply because they're a woman. And kind of this oppression has made it so women's voices and opinions haven't been as prevalent in making laws and having a presence in the world. And so this theory emphasizes on social change. Feminists want to give power and a voice to unheard and minorities. So this clip is from Aladdin, and it basically, the premise of it is that Princess Jasmine wants to rule her kingdom, and she, is very eloquent. She has strong leadership skills. She's confident, and she's repeatedly told no simply because she's a woman, and that, he even says, Jafar says, to be seen and not heard. To be a face, to be married, and things like that. That is her job, not to be a leader, even though that's what she wants and that's what she's good at.
Life will be kinder to you, Princess. Once you accept these traditions and understand it's better for you to be seen and not heard.
Here comes a wave meant to wash me away, a tide that is taking me under. Broken again, left with nothing to say, my voice drowned out in the thunder. But I can't cry, and I can't start to crumble whenever they try to shut me or cut me down. I can't stay silent, though they want to keep me quiet, and I tremble when they try it. All I know is I won't go speechless.
So some terms with feminist theory: first, that sex is a biological assignment, that it is, pre-chosen, that it is not in someone's control, whereas gender is a socialized meanings of masculinity and femininity, which kind of, as discussed before, that sex and gender are often used together, but in reality that they are very different. Gender is a social construct. Categorization is putting behaviors and labels together. So example, girls play with dolls because girls are more nurturing. Boys play with trucks because trucks are seen as more tough. Stratification is an outcome of categorization, so that men's tasks are of greater value than a woman's tasks. It is more valuable to be tough than to be nurturing. It'll get you farther in life. Privilege is a social status given to one with more power and value in society, which is kind of a direct effect from stratification, and it's typically given to men. Social deconstruction is consideration of how society has categorized and assigned values to behaviors and roles according to sex. And social discourse raises awareness for the inequality of gender, and praxis is advocacy of women, or for women. So in this clip from She's the Man, it kind of shows several of these things, partly, with privilege and stratification. The girls' soccer team is cut, but the boys isn't, because the boys are seen as more athletic and they're more tough, and girls just aren't. And so the girls ask to play soccer with the boys, and they're very much put down because of those gender roles, because, femininity is associated with toughness and athletics and things like that, and that kind of shows that social deconstruction as well.
Hey, baby.
Hey!
What's going on, Coach?
Girls here want to try out for the team.
I'm not serious.
All right. Look, you're all excellent players, but girls aren't as fast as boys.
What?
Or strong, or as athletic. This is not me talking. It's a scientific fact. Girls can't beat boys. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, Justin, you're the team captain. What do you think about it?
I think the coach said it all.
Yesterday, you told me that I was better than half the guys on your team.
I never said that.
What are you talking about? Why are you lying?
Well, end of discussion.
Fine. End of relationship.
Oh!
Come on, let's
Babe,
go.
don't be like that. I just don't want to see you get hurt.
You are so full of...
Back to practice.
So, some critiques of this theory are one, that it only focuses on issues that affect women, that it doesn't focus on other oppressed groups. They pay too much attention to the oppression of one group. Theory works outside traditional scientific knowledge, that it's more social and subjective. That feminist scholars are also activists instead of staying neutral, that it's very biased. And this applies to families in the way men and women should equally share household responsibilities. Women shouldn't be expected to be homemakers if they don't want to be, and that women should be free to pursue their dreams and receive support from their husbands in doing that. Just that emphasis that everything should be equal, that nothing should be expected of a woman simply because she is a woman, that it should be her choice. And just a gospel connection by President Nelson in his October 2019 conference talk for the women's session, titled Spiritual Treasures, says, "I praise that man who deeply respects his wife's ability to receive revelation and treasures her as an equal partner in their marriage. When a man understands the majesty and power of a righteous, seeking, endowed Latter-day Saint woman, is it any wonder that he feels like standing when she enters the room? From the dawning of time, women have been blessed with a unique moral compass, the ability to distinguish right from wrong. This gift is enhanced in those who make and keep covenants, and it diminishes in those who willfully ignore the commandments of God." I think that's important just because I think people, when they think of feminism, they kind of see it as contrary to the gospel, but in reality, they work together. That men and women are created equal, and they are expected to work together to create a family. And that is our presentation.